Valais Prime did not orbit its star. It negotiated with it. Every few seconds, the massive station adjusted its position with quiet gravity shifts. The floor hummed softly. The air felt slightly alive. Connor West could feel the tiny corrections in his teeth. He told himself this was normal. Everything about first contact diplomacy was normal if you repeated it enough. He straightened his jacket again. He was not a tourist. He was humanity's envoy. And he had just accidentally formed a bond with an alien queen. A sacred bond. A biological bond. A bond that could not be undone. And the galaxy was watching. The council chamber felt colder than before. Not in temperature. In expectation. Connor stood beside Queen Myas. She was calm. Too calm. Her long ears were angled slightly back in focus. He had learned that meant she was thinking deeply. Across from them stood the Council of Valais, tall figures, their minds linked through shared implants. When they spoke, their voices layered together in perfect unity. "You declined the severance clause," the council said. "Yes," Connor answered. "You understand the consequences." "No," Connor said honestly. "But I understand that walking away would have been wrong." A faint ripple passed through the chamber. The walls dimmed slightly, reacting to emotional spikes. The council continued. "The bond is provisional. But if confirmed, it would alter succession, alliances, military agreements, and trade structures across 9 star systems." Connor blinked. "Only 9," he muttered. The Queen almost smiled. Almost. The council did not. "Human," they said, "do you intend to claim our queen?" The room became completely silent. Connor felt his heart pounding. He looked at Myas. She did not look away. He answered carefully, "I do not intend to claim her. I intend to stand beside her, if she allows it." That answer changed everything. Because he did not speak as a conqueror. He spoke as an equal. Outside the chamber, rumors spread like wildfire through hyperspace channels. Some species believed humans were aggressive manipulators. Others believed humans were reckless romantics. A few believed Connor had executed a strategic move to gain power. Earth's government sent 14 urgent messages asking what he was doing. Connor ignored 12 of them. He answered one. "Everything is under control." It was not. Later that cycle, Queen Myas summoned him privately. The observation corridor was dim, the stars shining beyond transparent crystal. "You place yourself in danger," she said quietly. Connor leaned against the railing. "I was already in danger the moment I touched the wrong spot." "You could still withdraw." He looked at her. "Do you want me to?" Silence. That silence meant more than words. "No," she admitted. The station hummed. Somewhere deep inside, predictive models recalculated again. But peace never lasts in politics. 3 days later, a warship arrived. It belonged to the Karth Dominion, an aggressive empire that had long wanted influence over Valais Prime. Their message was simple. If the Queen bonds with a human, Valais becomes unstable. We cannot allow instability. Translated, it meant, if a human gains influence, they lose power. Connor stood beside Myas in the command chamber as the Karth ship appeared on the external display. It was massive. Armed. Dangerous. "This is not about you," she said. Connor nodded. "It is always about power." The Karth commander demanded a public explanation. They accused humanity of manipulation. They suggested the bond was a trick. Connor requested permission to respond. The council hesitated. Myas granted it. The transmission opened. The Karth commander appeared, armored, sharp-featured, eyes cold. "Human," the commander said, "did you engineer this bond?" Connor shook his head. "I made a mistake." "You expect us to believe that?" "Yes," Connor said. "Because that's what humans do. We make mistakes. The difference is, we don't run when they matter." The Karth commander narrowed his eyes. "You admit weakness." "I admit honesty," Connor replied. The galaxy was listening. Billions of eyes. Millions of recording systems. Connor continued. "I did not come here to conquer. I came here to understand. If your empire fears understanding, that is not my fault. The command chamber went still. Even the Queen looked slightly surprised. The Karth commander hesitated. Power respects courage, even when it comes from unexpected places. But courage alone does not stop fleets. The Karth warship powered weapons. A warning pulse struck the station's shields. The lights flickered. Alarms echoed. The council began defensive calculations. Myers turned toward Connor. This may escalate. He swallowed. I figured. The station's defense grid activated, elegant arcs of energy forming around Valais Prime. But the Karth ship was stronger than expected. Their next strike cracked outer shield layers. Connor looked at tactical displays. Earth's nearest fleet was too far away. Valais could fight, but damage would be severe. And all of this, because he refused to let go. Guilt hit him hard. He stepped forward. Open a channel again. The Queen hesitated, then nodded. The Karth commander appeared again. You have chosen conflict, the commander said. No, Connor replied. You have. He stepped closer to the camera. You fear instability. Let me tell you something about humans. The station trembled as another blast struck. We survive instability. We build inside it. We grow because of it. He pointed toward the Queen. This bond does not weaken this system. It strengthens it. Because it was not forced. It was chosen. The commander laughed coldly. Choice is weakness. Connor shook his head. No. Choice is strength. Fear is weakness. Silence again. Long. Measured. The commander studied him. You would risk war for this. Connor did not hesitate. Yes. The word echoed through open channels. Across systems. Across cultures. Across species. Yes. The Karth ship powered down weapons. Not fully. But enough. This is not over, human, the commander warned. It never is, Connor replied. The transmission ended. The warship withdrew to a distant orbit. Watching. Waiting. But not firing. The immediate crisis was over. The station stabilized. Shields repaired. Breathing resumed. Connor leaned against a console. His legs were shaking. The Queen noticed. You were afraid, she said softly. Yes, he admitted. But you did not retreat. No. She stepped closer. Not touching. Just close. You have shifted perception today, she said. Good shift or bad shift? She considered. Significant shift. He laughed weakly. I'll take it. In the days that followed, something changed across Valais Prime. Species that had been neutral expressed support. Trade agreements strengthened. Several systems publicly stated that bonds formed by choice were valid diplomatic evolution. The Karth Dominion did not attack again. They were calculating. But so was everyone else. Humanity, once seen as unpredictable newcomers, were now viewed differently. Not as conquerors. Not as children. But as beings willing to stand inside uncertainty. And not flinch. Connor met Myers again in the observation corridor. The artificial sun dimmed to evening levels. You understand, she said, that the bond grows stronger with shared trials. He nodded. I figured surviving a near war counts. Yes, she said. He looked at her carefully. You regret not choosing the severance. Her long ears relaxed. No. He felt something inside him settle. Not romance. Not possession. Partnership. Something balanced. You know Earth will send 100 analysts to study this, he said. They will misunderstand, she replied calmly. Absolutely. They stood in silence, watching stars. Then she spoke again. The bond is no longer provisional. Connor turned slowly. That was fast. The Council has concluded that breaking it now would create greater instability than accepting it. He laughed. So I win by accident again. You do not win, she corrected gently. We adapt. That word mattered more. Adapt. A formal announcement followed. Not dramatic. Not loud. Simply precise. Queen Myas and human envoy Connor West were officially recognized as bonded allies. Not rulers together. Not merged governments. But linked. Symbolic. Biological. Political. The first of its kind. Across the galaxy, historians marked the date. Not because of romance. Not because of scandal. But because for the first time, a human had touched something sacred. And stayed. Later that night cycle, Connor finally allowed himself to breathe fully. He sat alone in his quarters. Messages from Earth flooded in. Some angry. Some impressed. Some confused. He recorded a simple reply to Earth's leadership. I did not conquer anything. I chose not to run. That is all. He sent it. Then turned off communications. He walked once more to the observation deck. Myas was already there. You seek quiet, she observed. Yes. So do I. They stood side by side. Still not touching. Not because they feared it. But because now they understood it. The station's gravity adjusted softly. Valais Prime negotiated with its star. Carefully. Precisely. Confidently. Connor looked out at the galaxy. What happens now? He asked. Myas answered without hesitation. Now we build something that has never existed before. He smiled. Carefully. She gave him a rare full smile. Carefully. For the first time since arriving, careful did not feel like fear. It felt like strength. And somewhere deep in the core of Valais Prime, long-range future projections shifted again, accounting for one simple truth. Humanity had entered the galaxy. Not with domination. Not with retreat. But with an open hand. And this time, they did not let go. The galaxy does not forget quickly. Especially not when power shifts. Valais Prime was quiet on the surface. Trade routes flowed. Diplomats smiled. Official statements used calm words like stability and mutual evolution. But beneath that calm, pressure was building. Connor West felt it before anyone said it out loud. The station's gravity corrections were slightly sharper. The lights shifted color more often. Data traffic through his implant increased by 40%. Someone was testing the system. And this time, it was not just the Karth Dominion. 3 weeks after the bond was recognized, a message arrived from deep space. Unidentified origin. Encrypted with technology older than most civilizations. The station's AI could not trace it. That alone made the council uneasy. Connor was called into the central chamber. Queen Myas stood near the projection field. The council formed a silent ring behind her. The message activated. A distorted image appeared, tall, metallic figures with no visible faces. Their voices layered in a mechanical echo. We observe a biological anomaly within Valais Prime. Connor blinked. That's a rude way to describe me, he whispered. The Queen ignored him, but one ear twitched slightly. The beings continued. Cross-species neural convergence threatens long-term balance. Correction may be required. The room went cold. Correction. That word carried weight. Identify yourselves, Myas demanded. We are the continuum. The name meant something. The council reacted instantly. Several members stiffened. Connor glanced at his implant for data. The continuum were ancient. They did not rule territory. They regulated development. When civilizations evolved too fast, they intervened. Sometimes quietly. Sometimes violently. The projection flickered. You have altered probability pathways, the continuum voice continued. Human integration accelerates instability beyond acceptable range. Connor crossed his arms. Instability again, he muttered. Everyone hates that word. The Queen stepped forward. Our alliance was chosen freely. Choice is irrelevant to systemic correction. Connor's jaw tightened. The continuum continued. Dissolve the bond. Restore prior probability. Or external stabilization will occur. The projection vanished. Silence swallowed the chamber. Connor exhaled slowly. External stabilization sounds bad. It is, the council answered in unison. Emergency analysis began immediately. The Continuum had not attacked yet. But they had never issued empty warnings. Connor paced the chamber. So we have an ancient galactic referee who thinks I broke the rules. You altered equations, one council member replied. I shook someone's shoulder, Connor said. The Queen looked at him. You stayed, she corrected. That mattered. He had stayed. And the galaxy shifted because of it. Hours later, the station detected gravitational anomalies at the system's edge. Not ships. Something else. Mass distortions forming without propulsion signatures. The Continuum were arriving. Not as a fleet. As a phenomenon. Valais Prime activated full defensive grids. Energy shields expanded outward like a glowing sphere. Connor stood beside Myas on the command deck. You could still choose severance, one counselor said quietly. The room grew tense. The option was real. If Connor withdrew, probability might stabilize. The Continuum might leave. Myas did not look at the counselor. She looked at Connor. You owe us nothing, she said calmly. He felt the weight of that. Earth had not asked him to risk extinction. He could end this. Walk away. Save the station. Save himself. His implant displayed simulations. If he severed the bond, Continuum probability correction dropped by 70%. If he refused, escalation likelihood rose sharply. His heart pounded. He imagined Earth watching this in real time. He imagined humanity being labeled reckless. He imagined Myas standing alone again. He spoke clearly. I will not sever. The station seemed to inhale. The Queen's posture shifted, not surprise. Relief. The gravitational distortions intensified. Stars near the system edge bent unnaturally. A massive structure began forming out of folded space. It was not a ship. It was a construct. A sphere of dark metallic light, kilometers wide. The Continuum did not need weapons. They rewrote physics. A wave pulsed outward. Valais Prime's shields flared. Energy readings spiked dangerously. Connor gripped the railing. Can we stop that? No, the tactical officer answered. Can we survive it? Unknown. The wave hit. The station shook violently. Artificial gravity failed for 3 seconds. Connor floated briefly before slamming back down. Systems flickered. But Valais Prime held. Barely. The Continuum construct shifted closer. They were not attacking randomly. They were testing resistance. Measuring response. The Queen turned to Connor. You must speak to them. He blinked. Me. They focus on you as the variable. He swallowed. That's new pressure. You are human, she said simply. You adapt. He almost laughed. Instead, he stepped toward the communication array. The channel opened. The Continuum sphere filled the display. I am Connor West, he said. We are aware. Then hear me. Silence. I did not create instability. I created connection. Connection alters developmental trajectory. Yes, Connor said. That's the point. Another wave built around the sphere. Smaller. Focused. He continued quickly. You regulate growth because you fear collapse. But growth without risk is stagnation. The sphere pulsed. Human philosophy is statistically inefficient. Maybe, Connor said. But it works. He gestured toward Myas. We chose partnership. Not domination. Not assimilation. Choice creates stronger systems. Choice introduces chaos. Connor nodded. Yes, it does. He took a breath. But chaos is where evolution happens. The command deck was silent. The Continuum construct brightened. Your species exhibits persistent defiance. He smiled faintly. Yeah, we do. Another pulse formed, stronger this time. Connor's implant screamed warnings. Energy levels exceeded shield capacity. Myas stepped closer to him. Prepare for impact, someone whispered. Connor looked at the massive sphere. If you destroy this station, he said into the channel, you prove you fear potential. The pulse hesitated. Just slightly. He continued. You monitor civilizations to prevent disaster. But have you considered that intervention creates weakness? Silence. The sphere's light fluctuated. You presume to evaluate us. Yes, Connor said calmly. Because that's what humans do. We question everything. The pulse dissipated. Not fired. Dissolved. Across the deck, officers exchanged stunned looks. The continuum responded. Your integration produces unpredictable outcomes. Exactly, Connor said. Unpredictability threatens balance. Or expands it. Long pause. The stars around the construct slowly returned to normal alignment. The continuum spoke again. Probability recalculating. The massive sphere dimmed slightly. Connor felt sweat running down his back. No one moved. The galaxy itself seemed to wait. Finally. Correction postponed. The words echoed. The gravitational distortions began to fade. The construct slowly withdrew into folded space. Stars stabilized. Energy readings dropped. Valais Prime remained intact. The continuum were leaving. Not defeated. Not convinced. But reconsidering. The command deck erupted into controlled activity. Damage reports. System repairs. Data analysis. Connor stood still. His legs felt weak. Myers faced him. You challenged beings older than recorded history. He exhaled. I might regret that later. You did not retreat. Again. She stepped closer. This time, she placed her hand lightly over his. Intentional. Public. The bond point pulsed softly beneath her skin. The station responded with a calm golden glow. The council watched silently. No one objected. In the days that followed, the galaxy reacted. News spread faster than light. The continuum had confronted Valais Prime. A human had argued with them. And survived. Systems that once doubted humanity now reconsidered. Not because of power. But because of courage. The Karth Dominion sent no hostile messages. They were silent. Watching. Learning. Later, Connor and Myers stood once more in the observation corridor. The artificial sun dimmed gently. You realize, Connor said, I just told ancient cosmic regulators they were wrong. Yes. That was reckless. Yes. He looked at her. Worth it. She did not hesitate. Yes. He smiled. The bond between them felt stronger now. Not romantic fantasy. Not possession. Shared trial. Shared decision. Shared risk. You have changed galactic perception again, she said. I should start charging for that. She almost laughed. Human humor remains inefficient. Still works. They watched distant stars flicker. Valais Prime adjusted its orbit slightly. Carefully. Deliberately. Not negotiating from fear anymore. But from confidence. Connor thought about Earth. About how fragile humanity once felt. About how easily they could have stayed small. Instead, they stepped into the unknown. Made mistakes. Refused to run. He looked at Myers. What happens next? She answered calmly. The galaxy adapts. He nodded. That's what we do too. She turned toward him fully. The continuum will observe. Let them. You are not afraid. He considered. I am. But fear doesn't decide for me. Her ears relaxed. That, she said quietly, is why this bond matters. Not because it was accidental. Not because it was political. But because when tested, the human stayed. Again. Far beyond the system, hidden deep in folded space, the continuum monitored new projections. Probability lines no longer showed collapse. They showed branching. Expansion. Uncertainty. For the first time in millennia, the continuum marked a civilization as unregulated. Not because it was stable, but because it chose to face instability directly. Back on Valais Prime, lights dimmed to night cycle. Connor stood beside the Queen, looking at endless stars. He did not reach for her. He did not need to. The bond was no longer fragile. It was proven. Carefully, she said softly. He nodded. Carefully. And this time, careful did not mean survival. It meant growth. The galaxy had tested the human. The human had answered. And Valais Prime held its orbit. Not because it was corrected, but because it chose to remain.